Hello, welcome to the Lately in JavaScript podcast. And God, this is one of the it's actually the last of this marathon of podcast that you're recording today. And this is episode 70. We are recording this like for almost 6 years, I think. And what's new this month is that we will be recording with live streaming to Live Coding TV. Thank you for Live Coding TV people for their support. And today we have several interesting topics to discuss with our long-time podcast co-host, Arthur Sosins. Hello, Arthur. Are you still awake?
It's already past midnight here.
Okay, so you should have been transformed into a pumpkin, I think. Not yet. Okay.
I'm already turning red.
Yeah. Well, this time, unlike for the PHP podcast that we recorded, we are going to start with a summary of this podcast. And this month, we are going to start talking with an article that compares the for and for each command in JavaScript. This is interesting because there are a few differences that even I did not know. Next, we will be talking about Mithril. Mithril
You want to share the screen? Maybe?
Oh, sharing the screen is always an interesting idea.
A hard one to do also with so many windows.
Is this the right one? Says exporting Mithril, right?
Yep.
So Mithril is what shall we call it? Framework or library for building JavaScript applications.
Brilliant applications.
Yes, according to the author, they are brilliant applications. We will see if they are really brilliant or not, depending on your opinion. So the next article is about a library named Cassia, which is a library to access WordPress APIs. I suppose this is for all types of WordPress installations. Next, we are going to talk about a discussion regarding whether should we load CSS in our JavaScript or maybe just set it dynamically, I don't know. The next topic is about a library named Typer.js, which is capable of parsing fonts and true type fonts, open type fonts, and render them in, I think, in a canvas, JavaScript canvas, I think. Then we have a library named Baffle that I thought it was actually more sophisticated, but maybe it's not. It's for obfuscating text in DOM elements. We'll get back to that in a moment. Then there's a library named DN2A, which is Digital Neural Networks Architecture, which is a library for, that could be, I think, for machine learning, like training neural network to determine if certain input data is recognized as a certain entity. The next topic is about a library named ToolGIF, which can show animated GIFs as tooltips. The next topic is about WebMonkeys, which is a library for using the GPU to perform many parallel tasks using your graphics board. And finally, there will be an article about using service workers to present content offline. So now, starting with actual podcast, there is an article here about the difference between using for and for each loop. Basically, it covers several aspects. One, that it calls that with for each, it becomes more readable, the code. I don't know if it is that much more readable. Okay, it seems to be less code.
Less code. You don't need the I or J counters. You don't need assign some product variables and stuff like that. But one thing that I wanted to know, that first time when I encountered the for each loop in JavaScript, I assumed that it would be asynchronous with all the JavaScript callbacks, and asynchronous it does it through the callback. So I realized when it was synchronous, it was confusing for me at first, but now, yeah, basically we can treat it pretty much as a normal loop.
Yeah, so it's not just because it has callbacks, it doesn't mean it is asynchronous, right?
Yes.
Well, one thing that I think for each is not suitable is when you want to actually change the current object or not. I'm not sure. If you want to change an object, you can do with a for each loop. And,
no, you need map. You need to use mapping. So you map the function and return the new value, and it should create a new array with new values that you returned.
Isn't it simpler to use the for loop and use the index?
Probably. It depends on the taste of how do you like to write your code.
Now, I think here it says it's more readable, but I think for those purposes, probably I understand better what I'm doing using a for loop. Okay, that's just an opinion. And the second point is fewer off by one errors with for each. I'm not sure what this means.
So yeah,
be off by one. It's like when you add the element.
Yeah, no, so here you see that I is 0, and you compare I less or equal with length. So it will actually access products at index length, which would be out of bounds already. So.
Oh, but this is a lame mistake of the programmer. Do programmers still do these mistakes?
Yes, but for each would not allow that mistake at all.
I think that's a forced excuse, but okay, I can understand. This third point, I think this actually I didn't know that you could not break out of for each loops.
Yeah, basically because they are callbacks already in another function, you have no control over the iteration process.
Yeah. So if you want to break a loop, like stop in the middle, you need to go there and use the for, right?
Yep.
Okay. I think it makes sense. It is useful. Not much information, but it is useful. So moving on to the next topic, exploring Material, which is a JavaScript framework for building so-called brilliant applications. We have talked about Material in the past when Arthur brought a colleague that was very fan of Material. And what do you think? Is he right or wrong? Is it brilliant?
It's hard to tell. I still haven't tried it much yet, and it seems to be overly complicated. If you go through all these examples, you would see how it complicates. But
yeah, I can see that you need to programmatically assemble your...
Yes, your template code. basically.
So in the end, you have 10 times more code just to write the same HTML.
On one part, maybe, but if you widgetize everything and reuse your widgets, it could be less code in the end. So it's hard to tell.
Oh, okay. So when you have some existing code to process templates, you'll write less code.
Yes, maybe.
Okay. So as you may see here, there are some classes that you can. So are these classes widgets or?
Yes, yeah, they probably could be used as widgets and reused too. So you can have a date picker something or form as a widget and use it and stuff like that. Header, footer, menu.
Yeah. So this H1 would create some H1 element with hello world inside.
Yes.
And then follow the button with on click with this code.
Yes.
Man, this goes around and around. Oh, there is this syntax. This is a
ECMAScript.
This is ECMAScript 6, right?
Yes.
Oh, now it looks like PHP.
No, it actually creates a function.
Yeah, PHP is like trying to look like JavaScript, and JavaScript is trying to look like PHP.
They will merge eventually.
Finally, now I can say that JS classes is about classes. There are already some packages there that are written in ECMAScript 6, so all right, they are classes, no longer objects. Okay, well, I don't know. Seriously, I think this is probably not very productive, but as you said, if you use this as widgets, this code as widgets, probably you can make it write less code. Okay, so moving on to the next topic, we're going to talk about a library named Cassia. It seems to be to access WordPress APIs. So my question is, could this be for just the WordPress.com, or could this be for any WordPress installation?
I think if you scroll down a bit up to requirements, you would see that one of the requirements is a WordPress API plugin. So a plugin which transforms, which creates API endpoint for the WordPress functionality, I think. So it uses this plugin's API.
Yeah.
So, and thus you can create a single page application with Redux or React using this WordPress plugin API.
Okay, this is how to use WordPress without writing PHP, right?
Yes, basically.
Yeah. This is interesting. It seems that many developers are trying to get rid of PHP, but in the end they can't because they need to WordPress. But okay, here is a URL. So this is probably just a custom installation, right?
Yeah.
Access. So, okay, now JavaScript developers know that they can still benefit from WordPress installations without using PHP. There are always those that take PHP for some reason, so they will be happy. Next, a topic about loading CSS from our JavaScript, or maybe what could be the alternative? Building it dynamically, or could be something different.
Including it in HTML template, HTML tags, and load it that way.
Yeah.
Normally.
You mean the less syntax in less format?
No, just simply if you have like.
Putting the HTML.
Yeah.
Okay. But you mean embedding or loading remotely?
Both. I think both are the right ways. I would too say that I don't really like the loading CSS in JavaScript way, as it delays it a little bit, and sometimes you would display uncssed web page during that. But it becomes common specifically for web apps, for single page web apps, that you load it and then um, you just use it with Ajax request without refreshing it, so you load it only once and it should be okay. And I think the reason is usually because CSS is parameterized with either some pre-generated with some parameters, or it content varies depending on the client or browser or theme selected and stuff like that.
So the idea is like it uses JavaScript to determine what is the resolution, probably loads a CSS file or maybe even HTML adapted to that to the screen size or something like that.
Yeah, that it could go like that too.
Yeah. Okay, so what is your conclusion? What do you prefer?
Well, I think the first comment describes it all, that if you're using traditional website, a blog and stuff like that, then just put it in your HTML, like a link to the CSS file to load, or embed it if you needed to. Of course, it's not suggested, but you can do it. But for web applications, if there is a need for you to load CSS on some conditions, or some pre-formatted or something, or dynamically generated one, so that probably is the only way you can do it.
Yeah.
To use it through JSS. So I can't say that one way or other way is bad one, or one or the other way is correct one.
Yeah.
For different cases, you need different ways to do that.
For me personally, I always try to make it responsive when it's just a matter of adjusting to the screen size. But
yeah, media queries.
Yeah, but sometimes it may not be as flexible. But at least you only have one CSS, and if the user adjusts the screen somehow dynamically, it still works. Like, for instance, if the user rotates the mobile device, the screen gets larger or shorter, and the responsive CSS still works. So that's why I prefer responsive, but I don't know, maybe in other cases it can be better to load dynamically, maybe detecting the rotating event and switching the CSS. Okay, moving on to the next topic, we're going to talk about an amazing library called Typer.js. And this is interesting because it seems to be able to parse font files and render the characters itself, probably in a canvas, right?
Yes.
Or what is the purpose? Is that the purpose? Yes, it is.
Well, at least the demo that they demonstrate, I think there was a demo link in the first paragraph in the GitHub, and it renders it in canvas. I don't know if you can use it for simple text notes or not.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I tried this demo, but I could not understand much what it was all about. I can see that it renders, but what is the purpose? What would be the benefits of using a library like this?
Well, you usually have problems with web fonts because we need to load them different file types for different browsers, and basically you need to support many formats for the support range of browsers.
Supports like two types, true type and open type, right?
Yeah, and it should be cross-browser, I guess.
Yeah. So you mean it's not very consistent between browsers?
When using CSS web fonts, yeah, basically, at least as I remember, as it was that you needed different file types for different browsers, different formats. But this one would be more consistent and probably would provide some kerning options and more like stuff like that. The only downside I see is that Canvas, if it's really rendered only on Canvas, then it's not SEO search engine optimized.
Yeah, but anyway, that would not be a matter. It's always. I see your point. You would have to probably have some halt attributes there for.
Yeah.
For well, when you use JavaScript, it is already something dynamic. So probably will not benefit much of SEO. Anyway, moving on to the next topic, we're going to talk about Buffalo.js, which is a library for obfuscating revealing text.
You can jump to demo and see it specifically.
Yeah, I was trying to find the demo, but for some reason didn't find where is it.
There is a demo button in the top.
I'm really blind. Okay. So once, oh, it shows this. Is this a nice thing?
I don't know. Try review.
Review.
So just text effect.
Okay. So this is like to a version of the metrics scrolling text.
yeah, something like airport text.
Yes. When I saw this library, I thought, oh, this is one of those libraries that can hide text in convert text in like spaces and tabs, and when you render the spaces and tabs, you do not see anything, but it is there, and that could help to hide from the eyes of a regular developer. Oh, this has nothing to do, and then you can hide text there. That is called steganography, but it's not what this package does. Anyway, moving on to the next topic, we're talking about a library called Digital Neural Networks Architecture. For those that are not familiar with neural networks, they can be used to implement, actually emulate how your brain is supposed to work. Like it is able to learn a pattern, and then if you
for example, classify or categorize items.
Yes, exactly. So there are two phases. The training phase, where you supply some values and tell what are the expected output, so it can adjust the internal values of the neural networks. And then there is a recognition phase, which is when you could use it to detect something like, for instance, you have some text in an image, you could use this to implement optical character recognition to using neural networks. So this is a library that, as you may see here.
Yeah, in the code here, it actually displays quite a simple case that you have training patterns where you define input and output. And then after you have trained your neural network, you just provide some input and it should provide some output based on the same logic. So try to find the logic link between input and output.
Yeah. So the idea is there a training phase, and then there, which is for learning, and there is how do they call it? They call it query phase. can query the neural networks with some input patterns and tell them what it is. So you could use this, like you supply these values here. They could be, for instance, the pixels on an image. So it could recognize what if this represents a known letter, and it can be even tolerate. It can even tolerate some errors. Maybe, for instance, if you have some noise in a picture that has a text, maybe it can recognize the text letters even with the noise. And this is interesting because some time ago I thought, oh, well, I'm sending newsletters, and sometimes the users open the newsletter, sometimes they don't. Maybe it depends on the time of the day or the day of the week. So maybe I could use neural networks to create some artificial intelligence solution that I would feed the time and a day of the week that the user is more likely has opened the last newsletter. So next time the newsletter is sent to him, it would be scheduled for the time he is most likely to open that newsletter. So that could be an interesting problem to solve, but for now it's just an idea, not something that I have implemented, but it could be an application of this. Have you ever used neural networks in any projects of yours, Arthur?
No, I don't think so. I've used different classifiers from vector machines to bias to even genetic algorithms, but not neural networks.
But aren't genetic algorithms also implemented with neural networks, or
they could be? The idea, the implementation could be different, but the idea is definitely different. In genetic algorithms, you just they are kind of generated randomly, and you choose specific items with specific features that should survive in the next phase, like stuff like that. And
well, I never implemented genetic algorithms. I read some articles, and in college I had a discipline about neural networks. I really don't remember very well. I know that you could implement like several algorithms, backpropagation, something like that, and but I never had like, oh, you should assemble your neurons like this. Because I don't see anything here like telling how you should assemble your neurons. Maybe you just need to give some input parameters and it figures out how they.
Yeah, and there is configuration, as you see here.
Yeah.
So you need some thresholds and stuff like that, and dimensions.
Yeah. So it probably figures the right architecture and algorithms to implement the training and the query phase. And or as for genetic algorithms, I understood that they are just for when you need to determine the optimal order for a certain problem, like you have different calls for different customers. Which customer you are going to reply first, and which one will be next, and that's what I learned. I never applied it in practice, so I wonder if you remember if it was something like that or is different.
Yeah, well, in my case, it was different. Definitely, it was generating music basically. So node by node, you select which melodies sound better, sound worse, and eventually it generates something that is kind of enjoyable.
Yes. That is cool, but did it work? Or
Yeah, to some extent.
so can it generate music automatically and figure if the melody is enjoyable? Just
Yes.
what you did.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
you could be a
To
rock
some
star.
extent.
Why aren't you a rock star?
That's not that easy. It's enjoyable. It's not catchy. It's not enough to write a song, for example. But just proof of concept.
Because what I understood is that you just feed it a sequence and it sorts the sequence to make it better somehow. Isn't what did you?
Yeah. Well, no. The input actually would be all the notes, like the range of notes that you want to have music
Okay.
on.
So it figures a sequence that would be enjoyable, but it has
Yeah.
also a training phase and.
Yes, you need to, after each iteration, you need to review basically all the entities and rate them on enjoyability. And then after many phases and rating, it should start generating from a specific model that it has internally.
Yeah, it's a cool idea. You could, I think you should pursue your musician career to figure if that would work. It
Music was
probably would
always my
save the
hobby.
world. Yeah, probably would save the world from so many lame music that is going around, or not. Okay, moving on to the next topic. This is a simpler to understand. It's basically a tool that it's a jQuery plugin that just shows tooltips that are GIF animations. So this
And each
is
time it's a
nice,
random one.
but is there okay? So it's sort of, there is a logic to make it random, but other than that, does it do anything? Uh, Anything unusual? Anything surprising?
No. Well, probably apart from having a logic to determine the context of the file. I don't think if it even does that, or you have just array of multiple files.
Well, over here it's the code. It's very simple to use. So I wonder, where do the actual GIF images come from?
They all seem to come from what was that? Let me find. Maybe Giphy.com, so probably it has some storage there. Context storage based on some keyword.
Where do you configure that?
I don't think you configure that. It's built in internally.
Oh. So it's a random thing unrelated with a...
Yeah, you can provide data URL.
It takes it takes the words and shows an appropriate.
Yes, but you can probably also you can provide data URL as an attribute to load one specific GIF file.
Okay, now I got it. That's the unusual part. It takes the text. I didn't get that part. But okay, it's still pretty simple, but nice. Cats. Well, if you want to show cats, it will show tooltips for cats. Anyway, moving on to the next topic. We are going to talk about a library called WebMonkeys that is used to perform very many calculations at the same time using your GPU. So your GPU is the CPU of your graphics board, if you could put that in simple terms. So it can take some input data, and then you can tell the number of parallel tasks that will run, and they will take the input data and like return something. So the input data is usually an array. In this case, it uses some language that I don't know what is this syntax. It looks like Pascal. And it returns some values in the arrays.
It actually says that the language used is GLSL 1.0, so it's a shader language.
Yeah, so this is specific to GPUs.
Yes.
So probably it compiles it into some native code, and then it executes it in the parallel. This is interesting. This is could be used, for instance, to crack passwords. It seems that you are laughing, but that's one of the most common uses of graphic cards apart from games.
You mean just brute forcing or decoding, like unhashing?
Like brute force testing, like finding what is a password that has a certain hash. That's how they can quickly create rainbow tables for MD5 or HA1.
Or
so
collisions, stuff like that,
yeah. But okay, so anyway, you would have to learn about this language syntax, which does not seem very hard, but it's a library that can make it easier to take advantage of your GPU instead of programming C++. Okay, moving on to a last article on which we are going to comment about how to implement service workers that I think they display content offline. I mean, when there is no connection to the internet, you can have a service worker to display that text, I think, content. I think that is what I never implemented a service worker. It seems to be a relatively recent thing, but it seems to be interesting. I don't know. What do you think?
Yes, but as one of the parts in the article it describes, the browser support is actually still a problem. Not only with checking service port if it's available, but different browser versions provide different type of cache to retrieve the data from and stuff like that. So, and in this case, the usage is the offline caching, but probably there could be many other usages like notifications, checking server, and stuff like that.
Yeah. So service workers can be done for that, but it says title is offline content. So I suppose that somehow the service workers retrieve the content and cache it and serve it from the cache even when you are offline, right?
Yes.
Okay, this is interesting. It's a good case of using service workers.
It's also a good tutorial to try it.
Yes, right, for learning. Hello, welcome back to the Innovation Award podcast, on which we'll talk about the nominees for May, either from PHP classes and JS classes. But as usual, we start from the JS classes. Arthurs, which ones would you like to comment?
Okay, let me share my screen here. Should be this one.
This month we had like 5 nominees.
Yeah. Can you see my screen now?
Now it's many windows to see. Okay, I can see your screen.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So, okay. The first one I wanted to comment is PowerTech Tools package. which solves Ohm's law with AngularJS and MathML. That was an interesting combo and an interesting solution. So the author is Carl Holt from Canada, and basically, yeah, what this package does is it can solve Ohm's law by provided values, either bats or Ohm's resistant, but basically I was more interested where did AngularJS and MathML come in. Try to check more in the files, and yes, its UI basically is based on AngularJS. Um, Still haven't found the MathML specifically, but in screenshots you can see that it provides this kind of tool that you can provide values and it would solve the equation, the missing values for you, and
Yeah.
even providing you the way how it was done.
Yes, I think Carl works with that area with electricity or whatever. So this is probably a nice tool for people that need to work that area. I think this is a browser-only application.
Well, he mentioned that it uses browser storage to log solver history, but it needs to be run from a web server if not using nwjs.io.
Yeah.
So
Well,
there's
this is
could be
interesting.
some things that run from the server side.
Yeah, it's nice to see. I've never seen any application that uses MathML. I thought it was one of those standards that nobody uses, but okay, always learning a new thing.
Yeah, and Carl got one downloadable ebook of choice by O'Reilly for this package. The next package is a JavaScript Fov Parser, which can parse and extract information from Flash video files. And it was developed by Dantini Francois from France. And yes, basically, as I think we discussed similar class in previous time, which was MPG parser, and then this
Yeah.
can extract the information from Flash videos. So before even you upload it, it would try to get some metadata or anything it can about the display. So I think
Yeah, that's true. This is, I think it published several variants of the same class.
yeah,
For scanning files, for instance, before you upload them. So you can get some metadata, information about the video file. In this case, is for Flash video, but they has published others for MPEG and other formats of video files. So it was just a variant of the same package, but it seems to be appreciated.
and then the usage is I think exactly also the same. Just provide the path to the file, and in the callback you get the data. Human reading.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Okay, and Dantigny got one ebook of choice by Pact. So ebooks are off already a popular taken.
Yeah. Well, by the way, starting this month, there will be a new price that authors can pick, which will be a pro subscription of the Live Coding TV membership. So you get access to the pro features. So this is both for JS classes and PHP classes.
Let's see. Okay, and the next package is Webfun JavaScript Intent Service Server, developed by Til Wechowski from Germany. And basically, this class can subscribe to a web service, to open specific web service on specific file MIME types by registering web intent and then launching it. I think it also had a demo, but it was not very specific. We're just opening the pop-up just to show you that. Yeah, basically it was we'll launch the picker app on pick intent on pick link, but yeah, it would be more like if you want to open doc file in Google Docs, for example, it probably also has a web service for that, so you can subscribe it with web intent. And yeah, this package like makes it easier, so you won't have to yourself and launch its specific intents yourself. It would register everything that you want to test it and would do it automatically. Um,
Yes, this is interesting because I took a while to review this package because I did not quite understand what it did. So I had to ask the author to actually explain to me what it was doing. And basically, what it does is it takes, for instance, a stream of data that could be a given MIME type, and it can be handled by a service that is implemented by this package. And I think service is something that may actually not run in a browser tab. It could be a worker process. But since I did not try it myself, I'm not sure. I hope I'm being accurate.
yeah, basically the web intents are itself the handling with different URL schemes and data passing URLs. And this specific usage would be probably for that data URI mostly with specific MIME types. Okay, and I think that's all on my part.
Yeah. Well, okay, on my part, let me share the screen here. Let's see if this works, because I need to find the right window, which I think this is one. Can you see it?
Yes.
So it's showing the Innovation Award winners. So the next package that I would like to comment is called JavaScript Loan Calculator Script. This is a reasonably basic package that can do some calculations on loans. So you can have some script. Well, now this one does not have screenshots, which is a shame. But basically, you can do some calculations. Just enter the values of loans, and then it show you the number of I think amortization payments and how much you need to pay each month. Since I don't have loans to any bank or anybody else, I did not try this, but it seems simple but also useful for those matters. And this one was developed by Joseph from the United States. This, I think, he did not pick a prize because he did not reply to my message to ask which prize he wants. Sometimes these emails do not get to people, but they are entitled to nice prizes, and so they miss the prizes. I still insist on sending emails once and then move on. So, Joseph, if you are listening to this, you are still entitled to a prize, so just let me know. So the next package that I would like to comment, this one from a top contributor named Anders Toth from Hungary, and he developed a Chrome extension in JavaScript that's called Subtitle Downloader. I wonder if, well, there are some screenshots here, fortunately, that show the package working. And basically, it can take a video file, probably in a server, and extract the video stream I mean, it takes a video that is on a page and it extracts the video stream and the subtitles, so you can download them separately using this Chrome extension.
I think that actually he made a similar package before, and we were talking about it and suggesting that it could be a great Chrome extension, so he went and made Chrome extension.
Yes, but by that time I already knew that he developed the Chrome extension.
Oh, I see.
Because it was already nominated. Yes, so here in the screenshot you can see that it you just use a pull-down menu in the page and you can download the video and the subtitles. This is an unusual package, but as you said, there was a package that can do this without being a Chrome extension, so we can just use some JavaScript code. So with this, we practically reached the end of the Lately in JavaScript podcast. I would like to thank Artes for staying up so late. I think you're going to drop in your bed and forget it. It will be in a moment. So thank you again for coming. I also would like to thank you all of those that are watching while you are recording in Live Coding TV. From now on, we are going to broadcast this on Live Coding regularly. And also Live Coding is supporting the PHP and JavaScript Innovation Awards. They will be giving away Pro subscription for winners of the Innovation Award that would like to pick that as prize. And there is some information in the livecoding.tv page about Pro subscription, so you can learn about the benefits. I think they will even add more benefits in the future. So on my behalf, that is all for now. Bye.
Bye.